Good morning, Big Rapids. This is Big Rapids Buzz with Chris Long
and Bruce Berkovich.
So, Bruce, I heard at Curry's that you're a novelist. You have a book. I saw the book at Curry's. You didn't tell me anything about that last week.
You're right. I don't know if I'm a novelist or an author or someone who just wrote some things down, but I did. I self-published a book, and it was about my career as a Michigan conservation officer.
What's it called?
It's called Wild Things: On Patrol and Undercover with a Michigan Game Warden. And it sells online. It sells, first of all, it sells at Curry's. It's $20.
That's where I saw it.
Yes. And if anyone's interested in it, if you go to my website, bruceborkovich.com, you can order it on the website. So for people who don't get to Curry's or aren't close by, makes a great Christmas gift, great stocking stuffer. It's done very well. So, yeah, it was neat. What's cool about it is there have been other game warden books like this, but the fact that I did 7 years of undercover work, deep cover work, where I was living with people, eating their food, sleeping in their houses, doing the crazy things they do, and some of those stories are in there. And Chris, this is going to blow your mind.
What?
But I actually have a copy here for you.
Oh, can you sign it?
Oh, it's done.
Oh,
it's done. And you're going to have to do a little homework, because when I autograph books, I always put a Latin saying in there.
So much.
But that's for you, my friend.
Greatly appreciated.
Yeah, I think.
I guess I have to do the website now for you.
I think you do. I think you do. I mean, that book is worth, a couple $1,000 signed, so we could just call it an even shot for the website. But no, you're going to get a kick out of that. I know you're an outdoorsman, and the feedback I get from people is good.
Oh, so, this is great. Thank you.
It was a lot of fun. So, yeah, and so some of the stuff, you and I've been talking about, hot in the news right now is the new Michigan law, which is going to allow the MPSC, Michigan Public Service Commission, to make local zoning decisions regarding wind and solar power.
This is terrible.
It is terrible. It'll take effect in November of 2024. But to me, this crosses all party lines. I don't care if you're a conservative or a liberal. I consider this repugnant, and that's actually a legal term that the Supreme Court would use, that justices use. I consider this repugnant to our Constitution.
Are they doing it? It's like an eminent domain almost, that they get to decide the zoning and take away from the local level. This is ridiculous.
It's a chip, it's a chip off that block, our constitutional block, and it's scary. This should really alarm people and should cross party lines. It should cross philosophical lines.
So just so our listeners, in case they don't really know, could you explain just a little bit more about what this would do?
Well, sure. So briefly, right now, zoning decisions are made depending on whether it's a county or the township level. The county level, counties are authorized by law to make zoning decisions. Townships are so anything that comes up that's a question whether it's appropriate to construct or a use, that there is an authority who decides whether it's appropriate or not based on the law. And then townships have that authority too if they create their own zoning board. Townships also have the authority to say, for whatever reason, we choose not to create our own zoning board. And if that happens, the authority goes to the county.
Right.
But
that's the situation in most of Mecosta
very
County.
often. The smaller townships maybe don't have the personnel or the interest or whatever, so they do defer to the county.
But this law is about the solar and wind.
This law is solar and wind. I've heard two versions of it. And next week, we're going to have Representative Tom Coons to really come in and really give us the lowdown on this. But I've also seen in print also for storage, energy storage. So wind, solar, and energy storage. I've also seen wind and solar.
They basically want to buy up these agriculture or zone agriculture lands, or any land they want to, so they can put solar and wind in.
And they do. And, that's business. If they want to do that, that's
I don't understand why the state needs to do this and use up all this rural land. We have
first of all,
tons of roads owned by the state and the federal government. If they want to push this EV and solar initiative, use the land that they already have. There's a median right there in the road. use it.
That's
Why not? I don't
a good
understand.
Point. It's there. Well,
why take more land?
So the reason for this is the current political administration in Lansing has a goal, and they're following it up with legislative action to make us a totally green energy state by 2040. So all of our energy production, and so this is to me this is a land grab. Yeah. Even though they're not taking your land, this is repugnant. This is a really big deal, and I look so forward to having Representative Tom Kuntz here next week to really drill down, give us the history, talk about the fight. Was there a fight in Lansing? You know, right now the Democrats control both houses, and this was something that was pushed through by the governor. So it'll be interesting. I don't want to let's not drill too deep into it because I don't know a ton about it.
Yeah.
But
make sure to tune in next week. It's going to be a big show.
Interesting. And I've visited with Tom, a really neat guy, really connected to his community, and he's passionate about personal rights. You know, right? We're ripe in this county off a lot of we the people stuff, a lot of personal rights stuff, and people are really interested in this because of the recalls that just happened, and this is alarming. This is a big deal,
definitely.
So it's pretty scary.
Yes, definitely.
So is it story time?
I think it is.
You know, this is like
I want to hear something. Just tell me a probably one of the most interesting, oldest stories of your book.
Well, you know, one of the early stories in the book is if the listeners can recall, I started my career out as a teacher. I was a 6th grade teacher and a coach in Everett. Good morning to our friends in Everett. And at that time, I had great interest in becoming a conservation officer. We're going to talk about that later. So I became a volunteer conservation officer, a VCO, where you ride and help out. It's like an auxiliary police officer with a regular officer. So I was doing that. 14th of November, everyone around here knows the significance of that. It's the day before the rifle season in Michigan.
Do the students up here get that off?
Yeah, in high schools.
Okay,
in
my
public
school
schools.
didn't do that.
In the public schools, it's a holiday.
I think in you have to be above 46 or something like that.
No, that's the rifle shotgun line.
I know, but my school in Lapeer didn't have that.
That has nothing to do, though. The schools decide that individually.
Oh, okay.
There's no law that dictates that. And a call came in. A couple guys, Everett locals, were out in Colorado deer hunting. And they shot a little forkhorn, a little 4-point mule deer buck, which we don't have in Michigan.
What's a mule deer?
A mule deer is a species of deer that is native to Colorado, but we don't have them in Michigan. They look, you know, in a lot of ways, a lot like a white-tailed deer, but they're different if you know what you're looking for.
But they shot it in Everett.
No. They shot it in Colorado. They're coming home. They stopped at the Everett Lounge to have a couple beers and show their buddies. They went in, had a beer, come on out, look at the deer, went out, and it's gone. It's in the back of their truck. It's gone.
The deer from Colorado was gone. The deer
from Colorado's gone. So they called Central Dispatch. Central Dispatch let the DNR and the state police and the sheriff's deputies know about it in the area. And
stolen corpse.
Yeah, stolen corpse. So we're out patrolling. I'm in with a local conservation officer, Bob Schneider, and get a call from a hunter. And on November 14th, archery season's still open. It's the day before gun season, but a lot of guys will come up rifle hunting a few days earlier and bow hunt. And so he said, yeah, I'm camping in the state land west of Everett, and I was up hunting, and I came on a camp. There's no one there, but there's a deer hanging. And I went over to look at it, and it's really looks weird. The eyes are all sunken and frozen, and it just doesn't look, fresh. Something doesn't look right. So we show up to the camp, and the officer is going over to look at the tent in the vehicle, a tent. There was a ratty-looking tent and a pony keg of beer. That's the only two things there. I go over to look at the deer, and I'm not thinking mule deer at all. I'm looking, and something's not right about this deer because I'm an avid hunter. But it's a little 4-point, kind of looks like a Michigan 4-point. And then I happen to see the Colorado tag on it.
Oh.
Now we've got our deer. We know where it's at. So this was probably 4 in the afternoon. we get the state police out there to help us. We set up surveillance. Of course, I love the state police. I work with them very closely, but they stay warm in their vehicle while the two game wardens are out with binoculars and hiding in the woods.
Well, that's your office. Your office is the outdoors. Their office is in the car.
Exactly. So we get set up 4:30, 5 o'clock, starting to get dark, and we wait and we wait and we wait, and about 9:30 we hear a truck coming. Rawr, 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 rawr. You can hear it half a mile away, and it pulls in. And by now our eyes have adjusted to the dark. Now it takes about a half an hour to get what you call night vision, for your eyes to go from daylight to really. And we had some tricks as game wardens when we're going down the road sneaking without lights on at night. If people or a car was coming, we'd shut one eye. It's an old military trick, so that you can see what you're doing, but after they go by, you'd still have maintain your night vision in that eye. So we're doing these things, and they pull in, and I can see, but a door opens on the driver's side and no one gets out, and a door opens on the passenger side and no one gets out, and we're looking at each other, and we get on the little handheld radio with the troopers. We finally decide, well, let's go up there. Well, the driver got out, was so drunk he fell out and passed out. The passenger did the same thing. So they're both laying in the snow. It was really cold, unconscious, passed out. So we get them up and we get them, conscious and talking to us. And we finally ask them about the deer. And we shot that. We're bow hunting. We shot that yesterday. And of course, they don't know that not only is the deer frozen solid from the long, cold trip from Colorado, the eyes are all sunken, but, there's a Colorado tag on it. You're required to tag your deer. And so they're going back and forth. And finally, we've had enough. And we said, well, I didn't. I was the volunteer. The officer said, well, you're lying to us. You just stole this from Everett and took them over there. They're still denying it. Pointed out not only the big giant ears, the tail that's different, everything, but the Colorado tag. So they know it's up now, and these guys are dandies. They were from Garden City, Michigan, and they are dandies.
Not even from up here, they're from way down there.
Well, what's interesting, had they illegally killed a Michigan deer, it would have been a misdemeanor. But because they stole this deer, and it has a value in Colorado back then of over $200, it becomes a felony larceny. So we get him over, and one of the sergeants, who I later became great friends with, is there with a DNR, and these two characters really took a liking to him. He's a great big man, and he kept calling him big guy, and he's doing the good guy, the troop's the bad guy. It's the good cop, bad cop thing. It's working pretty well, and they ask for his ID, and this will be a little colorful. Maybe a little inappropriate for our listeners. So please, if you're a little shy, close your eyes. But we're getting his ID, and we took their rifles, and one of the rifles is an old military 30-40 Craig that was used in World War II. And this guy's literally crying because he thought he was going to lose his rifle. And he keeps looking at my friend.
Well, you guys could take anything.
Well, you can if it was used in a crime. And he's begging to my friend, please, big guy, please take anything. Take anything I got. That was my daddy's rifle. Please don't take my daddy's rifle. And he's pulling out his ID from his wallet, and he gets what I think alcoholics may call their moment of clarity. And his face kind of stiffens up, and he says, take anything. He says, you can take my wife. And he says, H-E-double-L. Is that good enough, Jen? H-E-double-L. She's a fat old pig anyhow. And he was not being a smart aleck or trying to be funny. He was a serious, please take anything, take my wife. And that's when his moment of clarity, he's like, she's a fat old pig anyhow. And I about fell over. I think I still have scars in my cheeks from my teeth biting, trying not to laugh.
Oh my God.
And when we got done dealing with that, put him in handcuffs and took him away. But those are some of the crazy things I ran into in my career. That's one of
Which chapter is that in?
Many. That's early on. I told last week about the story about me becoming a young outdoorsman and catching all the salamanders. So that's pretty early in the book.
Okay.
But that's a crazy, crazy story. And all my career, I ran into crazy stuff. Where another officer's dealing with mundane, run-of-the-mill stuff, I would be involved in this stuff. So it was just crazy. But Good morning, and you are listening to WBZX Big Rapids on B1039. So we're going to try to, go over one of these stories every week. I have found I've spoken with
I'm going to have to read the
numerous
book,
groups.
though.
You are with numerous groups and people.
Hope there's no test.
Especially in rural areas, rural Michigan, love game warden stories. There's just something about game warden stories. So we're gonna try to do some of that.
We'll be right back with more Big Rapids Buzz here on 103.9.
Welcome back to Big Rapids Buzz. This is Bruce Berkovich.
And Chris Long.
And Chris, you and I really haven't known each other that long.
No.
And I had seen you. I kind of knew what you were doing a little bit based on our activity and our efforts during the recall.
Yeah.
During the recent recall, I think to refresh the listeners, most of you know this, but we did something pretty historic in Mecosta County where we recalled an entire board in one township and then a position of township supervisor in another. And I have to say, Chris, most everyone there was old people like me, right?
Yes.
It really was. I mean, that's a reality. And Chris, I really kind of got introduced to you on the day of the election. We were on Pat's show together.
Yes.
But then we showed up to the watch party, and we all didn't know what to expect. I think you're going to talk about all of us.
Yeah. No.
Were we hopeful? We were hopeful. But tell me when you walked in that door and felt the excitement. What were you thinking? What were you feeling?
So when I was there, I walked in. I came in early because I had to help set up. Jeff asked me, or somebody asked me to set up the music and bring a screen and things like that, and that's what I did. But that whole day after the voting that morning, it was kind of like I didn't really know what was going to happen. I wasn't overly confident. I was more. It was calm and hopeful, and a lot of people also said the same thing. They were very calm. They felt a relief for some reason, and that's how I felt. And the closest thing that during that watch party, right before the results came in, while we're just gathered there and eating food. It felt exactly the same feeling from 2016 when I was at the Donald Trump rally, the last rally before the election day in 2016 in Grand Rapids. It felt just like that because there at that rally, we were not confident that we were going to win. We didn't know. Everyone was excited to be there, just like we were. But we weren't overly confident. We were just happy to be there and feel proud of what we've accomplished. But we weren't expecting anything. We were hopeful, but that's about it, really.
Chris, do you think that feeling, because I know what you're talking about, that is almost, to me, that translates to we all gave it our best shot.
Yes. Oh, yes, we did.
Gave it. So we showed up thinking we left nothing.
Yeah.
Out there.
We did the best we could.
People worked their butts off. That's what inspired so much, you and I so much, is to see the people in this community from all different walks of life. Oh, yeah.
So different skills, different talents.
That was that calmness?
Yes.
We're hopeful, but we sure weren't cocky about it.
Correct. No, we were not cocky about it at all.
So I still remember, and to talk a little bit about when I think Terry Hook got up and talked about results. And then that was the cheer heard round the world.
Yes.
Talk about that.
Oh, definitely. So I was sitting behind the desk and we get a phone call and Terry got the phone call and she's reading the results and everyone's real quiet and she's reading it and the first one, I forgot who the first one was.
I think it was like a trustee. It wasn't the big guns. It wasn't the supervisor.
Exactly.
It might have been Jeff Thorne.
It might have been Jeff Thorne. And we're sitting there, and the results were coming in as she's reading them off. And when I realized what just happened, it just hit you. It's like, oh my gosh, we just did that. And then she read the next one, and the next one, and the next one. It's like, holy crap! We just did it. We just did what everyone said we couldn't do.
Absolutely.
Okay, this has never been done. We were all told that if you can recall one guy and that's going to be maybe 30% success rate, but to recall the whole board, you're crazy. No one's ever successfully done that at a township level. Okay, and that night it's like, wow, we just did what everyone said we couldn't do, and not just locally, everyone. Everywhere.
Absolutely, all over the country.
Yeah, news reporters.
Absolutely.
The lady from Ireland that came in.
Yeah.
So,
Chris, you know what it reminded me of? I was on a narcotics team for 7 years, and I ran some major high-level. It's a state law, like an organized crime law, a racketeering law, and I had some big prominent business people in Mount Pleasant, and 5 defendants at one time with 5 different legal teams, and when we convicted on every single. So you've seen that on TV in murder trials. Well, on count 1, guilty.
Yep.
But count 2, not guilty. Count 3, not guilty,
Yep.
or whatever. But you've seen those also where count 1, guilty. Count 2, guilty. Count 3, guilty. Count 4, guilty. Count 5, guilty. And count 6, guilty. That was almost a feeling.
Yes.
Like, oh my goodness, we did it.
we did it.
On every one.
Yes. It was. We were calm before, but then we were even more calmer and then more excited because it's like, it's unbelievable.
Chris, talk a little bit about, because you're, you and I, in one way, are so far apart technology-wise, but I was so in awe of your technology skills. And talk about some of the things you did with videos and graphics and some things during this process that really helped to get us to that finish line.
I thought that doing a video would be the best way to express what's going on, but I also want to do it in a humorous way. That's why in every single video there's some sort of little bit of humor in it, from the "We're Not China" video where she's like, really, and then the music with some of the other ones, and
Pick a couple
the
out.
out politicking.
Pick out.
There's the door.
Pick out a couple and tell us about them, because they were awesome.
Oh.
I'm thinking, well, this is as good as any profession. Not that you're not professional, but this is as good as anything I've seen on TV, social media. This is awesome. Talk
Well,
about this.
I wouldn't give myself that much
I
credit
would.
for it, because it took longer to find all the clips and snip through them and create almost a library. I have like 50 gigs worth of different clips that I clipped down, and different sayings that people said, and then when you want to build a video, you have to have a theme, and basically my hour drive home from Grand Rapids is I get these random ideas of how I could express an idea, and I get home and just start throwing stuff at the wall until it's stuck, and then you'd add some music, and then you add some this and some there's some videos that still haven't been released that I have that are in draft form. I would say at least 20 different videos that I had, but you just look at them and you're like, nah, this one's not ready yet, or this one's not ready. And then some of the best ones, I think, were done within that day. I get the idea, I then just power through it. Like that last one, the out politicking one. I came home, and I just powered through that, and I released it, but then I pulled it back because it was half the time, and I wanted to add that the last bit of clips where you had the community members at the meeting explaining different things, and then I had that idea of adding the from the movie The Network, where the guy told everyone, get out, go to your windows, and we're not going to take this anymore. And so, yeah, I just had those ideas, and then I'm calling people, hey, can you get me a video of this and that? And so it was definitely a community effort, even at the video level, because I'm like, hey, where did you find this?
Right.
Where was this clip at? What meeting was that happening at? And early on, I wanted to be anonymous, and unfortunately, or not unfortunately, I mean, I wouldn't be on this radio show if certain things didn't cause the anonymity to be broken.
Yeah.
But hey, everything happens for a reason, and I'm here now.
Powerful clips in one in particular. I met the young man. He is, I think, a former Marine.
Oh, yep,
he was
Matt.
in combat. He's a wonderful young man. He's a young father, just such a wonderful American. And when he got up, I believe he was the one that got up and basically told one official, if you feel a need to
if you feel the need to carry
wear
a gun,
body armor, you might be doing, and out he goes. And I talked to him, and he is so passionate about his status as an American, as a father, as a husband. And he's basically, it was his opinion that if this thing gets built, I don't want to go down that road, but if it does, he's moving. He loves this community. He wants to raise his children here, but that's how important it was. And that was a great clip.
If you feel the need to carry a gun to protect yourself from your constituents, maybe you're doing something wrong.
That was
and
he left.
It was a mic drop situation.
And then he left. So, that was powerful.
Yes. Anyway, so why last week you explained that you went to you were a DNR officer and then went to Ferris, but you also mentioned you were a teacher.
I did. That's
Everett.
what I started out doing.
So why did you go to be a teacher if you wanted to be a DNR officer?
Well, it was my brothers and I have two brothers, Brother Mike and Brother John. Brother Mike's the sheriff up in Leelanau County. John's still a police officer in Southeast Michigan. And we all wanted to be game wardens. That was our dream. It's a glamour job. It's our passion. We were all such avid outdoorsmen. But you're talking about back in the early to mid 70s, and when we started to talk to counselors and to go down that road as we were graduating and getting into college, we were told, right now is not the time. They're not looking for white males, which I had to just scratch my head and am I hearing things? And I didn't pay a lot of attention to that. But then my oldest brother, Mike, was the first one to get in the process, and he applied, and the Michigan Department of Civil Service told him, just as they told my brother John and me, we are not allowed to take the state civil service exam because of our gender and our race. That the affirmative action plans in Michigan prohibited that.
What's affirmative?
So affirmative action is a philosophical process of attempting to balance out the workforce based on personal demographics, based on race and gender and creed and those sorts of things. And
at the government level?
At the government level, yeah, right on. So it was a almost exclusively white male dominated profession. There's no doubt. You can't argue that. The statistics are there. And the state was interested in diversifying the workforce, and they did that by denying us, based on our color and our gender, from the same opportunities as anyone else. And I was flabbergasted. No, my government wouldn't do this to me. And, we were raised, there was not an ounce of racism or bigotry in the way we were raised. Our parents were just such wonderful people, and I didn't get it. So it became discouraged, heartbroken, decided to go into teaching. Went to Michigan State, got a teaching degree, got a job in Everett back in 1982, and teaching jobs. Oh, goodness gracious. You could hardly find them anywhere. I was ready to apply to Alaska if necessary because there were just no teaching jobs.
Really?
Well, it just so happened that Everett had kind of a last minute person leave at the last minute, and it was at the 6th grade level, and they were looking at that time for a male because those kids are, transitioning into young teenagers, and they wanted the influence of a male there. The timing was perfect. So I went up, I interviewed, I got the job. I really liked the people of Everett, good people.
How many people were in that graduating class way back then? 10?
No, probably, 150. It was much bigger than that, but not a big school. But I'll tell you what, good, God-fearing, salt-of-the-earth people in Everett. God bless all of you folks up there listening. Mr. B, some of them will remember me. I still see students. And Mr. B says hi to Everett.
Maybe that lottery winner from that made that movie.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe they could be a sponsor. I don't know.
That's someone we could talk to. So I went in, and I still had an application in with the Department of Civil Service. 3 years into a teaching job, I get notified that I can take the test. Now,
so they contacted you back?
Yeah. So
afterward.
My brother Mike, after a few years, he got to do it. He ended up getting hired. And then John and I came on at almost the same time. By the way, folks, a little trivia here. you could win a big bet. On trivia night, has there ever been three brothers all in as state conservation officers at the same time? And yes, in Michigan that happened. You can win your fortune in a bet there. But Mike was first, John was second. They got a hold of me. Nothing to lose. I took the test. Back then, even then though, a white male had to score higher on the civil service test to be in the band, be in the process. A white male had to score 98 or higher on the state civil service test, and that's what I scored, a 98. And went through the process, and the next thing I know, it's going into either become a state trooper or state conservation officer, a long process. And I went through it, and I got a job offer. 4 years into teaching, I left, and they sent me down to the police academy, and it became my dream job.
Where was the police academy at?
Down in Lansing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So conservation officers are police officers. They have the same authority as a state trooper.
But more, technically more.
Well, that's actually, we could talk about that sometime. That's actually a misconception.
Really?
And I don't think that's a great topic for another show. Bring that up again.
Okay.
Let's talk about the authority and the perceived authority, because I've got some neat stories of a conservation officer.
Okay.
Because I will tell you this as a lead-in, I've looked through the Constitution, and nowhere have I seen in the Fourth Amendment, Fifth Amendment, or anywhere else the game warden exception. Those constitutional
I think it's
rules.
Basically because of
it's an impression.
Yes.
We'll talk about that. That's a great topic.
I won't go into
That's a great topic. But
Okay.
it's kind of a sore subject. It remains a sore subject. You do not effectively treat racism and bigotry with more racism and bigotry.
It's
so counterproductive. And I think
it causes the issue to continue going.
Absolutely. And I think right now why we're struggling in our society is we don't have the right dream. We don't have a dream of equality. We have a dream of equity. And that's what you'll see. Even colleges are doing that now. They're adding equity to diversity and inclusion. Diversity and inclusion is good stuff. We want everyone to have the same bite at the apple, regardless of who you sleep with, where you go to church, what color you are. It doesn't matter, because that's in our Constitution. However, equity means you get the same thing everyone else does. And that is a terrible trend, and universities are doing it. Ferris just did it. And so maybe we'll have another night to talk about that.
Yeah.
Could go on forever.
So what's happening in the community?
Boy, there's stuff going on. It's holiday season. The TNR, Trap, Neuter, and Release, Mecosta, is offering gift wrapping for a donation at the Frou For You apparel store.
Which, by the way, they're closing.
They're closing. This is going to be on December 15th. Go get your gifts wrapped. A lot of people don't like it. Then make a generous donation. That's from 5 to 8 p.m. And those donations will help fund spaying and neutering. It's a really important, noble cause. And it'll help pay for those surgeries for feral cats in Mecosta County and help with our cat population. And I'm here to tell you, as a game warden, feral cats do a lot of damage to our wildlife. And if we can come together as a county and support programs like this, we're supporting wildlife.
Yeah. With the Rotary Club of Big Rapids, they're hosting a blood drive on January 4th from noon to 4 p.m. at the City Hall in the community room, and you can sign up or donate at donate.michigan.versity.org. Or call 866-642-5663.
Perfect. And one more thing on the TNR Mecosta effort, that is a local 501c3. So your donations there are tax deductible. It's that time of year, folks. Tax time's coming up, and what a great cause to donate to that and get a tax deduction.
You should also donate blood, but you're not going to get any taxes off on that.
You won't. The Misiola Curry Comfort Home is looking for a part-time night shift position. 2 12-hour shifts per week, every third weekend, rotating 6-week schedule. So if serving individuals in need of care during their end-of-life journey is something that you're passionate about, they would love to talk to you. Visit their website and click on the Apply Here button. In a little editorial from me, these are angels. I have I've dealt with this end of life care, and they're angels. That what they do is unbelievable. I don't know how they do it. I think there's a special place in heaven for people who do this. So please show some interest in this position.
Yeah, and while we're talking about Curry's, Hooked on Curry's, the sandwich shop inside Curry's gas station, is now hiring. Stop at 620 Maple Street in Big Rapids. It's a great place. They got some great food there.
Their have you eaten their sandwiches?
I eat their sandwiches almost every morning with the bacon, with the cheese and the egg.
That I have. That's a wrap, right?
Yeah, the wrap and the bagel.
And the bagel?
The bagel, you got to get that with the raspberry jam. Oh my gosh. I don't know who makes that raspberry jam, but it is delicious.
I'm not going to bash any sandwich shops in town. That's not why I'm here.
No.
I'm telling you, though.
Penny makes that? Oh, my.
Does she really? I'm telling you.
Oh, it's delicious.
The sandwiches here are like you're sitting at home.
I could eat that with a spoon.
Asking for home cooking sandwiches.
Yeah.
The sandwiches there are awesome.
And they got plenty of bacon.
They do. Yep. So Hook That Curry's, they're looking for help. They're looking for good people who want to be part of that Curry team.
Yes, definitely.
The Big Rapids Community Library is having an art and craft workshop December 12th from 4 to 5 p.m. You can register online at bigrapidslibrary.org or call 231-796-5234. If you're driving around Big Rapids with friends and family during the holidays, admiring everyone's light displays, and to get into the holiday spirit, they've decided it'd be a great idea to create a map of Christmas light displays with your help. They will use Google form for any home or business owner who would like their address listed on a custom City of Big Rapids Christmas light Google map to share with the public. Your name will not be shared on the Google Maps. Only an icon will be displayed at the address you list. Kind of a neat idea. That's classic Big Rapids stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
Don't just have lights out. Figure out a way to organize the community to a family can get in a car with some kids and take off and know where you're going. But you are listening to WBZX Big Rapids on B1039.
We would like to thank our sponsors this week, Rivertown Real Estate with Lori Brock. What a great lady.
Yay, Lori.
Yes,
she's our hero.
And she's been so involved with everything that's going on.
I'm just going to say she's the catalyst to the explosion. Let's just say that, and I mean that in a very good way. Thank you, Lori.
And the Catkey Golf Course and Pro Shop at Ferris State University, along with other supportive people and businesses from the community. We want to thank each and every one of you for getting behind our show. We greatly appreciate it.
Catkey is some really awesome clothing in there.
Yeah.
And they have some really neat sales
going on.
They do. When they put a sale on, they put a sale on.
Going on this week. 15th and 16th. On the 15th and 16th. Thank you, Jan.
And everyone's struggling with gifts. Stop by Catkey. You'll be shocked at some of the prices on quality stuff.
And if you'd like to sponsor our show, the Big Rapids Buzz, you can call your best friend Jen here at B1039 at 231-796-1103. And she'll get you started on sponsoring this show.
She's our hero.
Yeah. I'll leave you with this. Stay hungry, stay foolish. Listen again next Monday at 8:30 for the Big Rapids Buzz with me and
Bruce Berkovich.
The Big Rapids Buzz is a presentation of B1093.
Chris, you were darn near perfect.
Okay. Listen again here next Monday at 8:30 a.m. for the Big Rapids Buzz with me and
Bruce Berkovich.